Harmony One Explained. What is Harmony One Crypto, Harmony Coin, Harmony Crypto Programmer Reviews. So we can see Harmony One as kind of a competitor to both Elrond and Algorand is how I see it. So they're really out there to really solve the scalability problem that is seen in Ethereum. Now if you haven't checked out my Elrond and Algorand videos, then I suggest you check those out because going through those videos will give you a kind of like a foundation to really help you understand and compare and contrast Harmony One, Elrond, and Algorand, because I think it's important since they're playing in the same zone of trying to make a blockchain that is kind of based on Ethereum but way more scalable. Now I'm doing this Harmony One video because it was a highly requested video. People kept on asking me to do Harmony One, so this is kind of my way of reading the white paper so you guys don't have to, because what I did for Algorand and Elrond was just read the white paper too and then presented that to you. So what you really have to know is kind of like the different way they go about sharding, because sharding is their way of making the blockchain way more scalable, doing more transaction per second than what is available now with Ethereum, because we've seen what's been happening with Ethereum with all these doggy coins. They've been driving up the fees like crazy, where at this point it's like $300 to make a simple swap or something. That's crazy. Anyways, the white paper was actually a pretty simple read compared to what was presented in Algorand and Elrond, so I really liked it. And it looks like the team itself has its own decades of experience to draw under, so it looks like that's what makes this project legit. Anyways, if you guys haven't already, please be sure to smash the like button, smash the subscribe, and now we can jump into Harmony One. Alright, as always, we have to start off with an overview. So let's start off with Bitcoin and Ethereum and where they're at. Bitcoin and Ethereum are limited by their number of transactions that can be done per second, with BTC at 7 transactions per second and Ethereum at pretty much 15 to 30 transactions per second. Now, other blockchains like IOTA and EOS, they all have their own kind of consensus algorithms, and they thought of using that to beat Ethereum and Bitcoin, but they don't really fare that much better due to the way that they handle their data structures. That is that their solutions do not make significant performance gains without sacrificing other important aspects, those aspects being security and decentralization. Now, sharding is a scalability solution that preserves both the security and the decentralization, which is why Algorand, Elrond, and Harmony One went with sharding. Now, sharding allows multiple groups of validators to all process transactions at the same time, which means that the amount of transactions that are processed should increase as the number of validators join and increase as well. Now, Zilliqia was the first public blockchain to do sharding, but its solution wasn't really the best. So there's really different types of sharding, and Zilliqia went one way, and Elrond and Algorand did another way, and Harmony One have their own way. The problem with Zilliqia was that weaker machines could not participate in the network, and when weaker machines could not participate in the network, that means that they're losing a lot of computing power. Harmony's own advantages include the following: it's fully scalable, there's secure sharding, there's efficient and fast consensus, an adaptive threshold proof of stake system, which means that small stakers can stake as well, and cross-shard transactions. And we'll talk all about that a little bit later in the video. But the goal with Harmony One is to enable dApps, decentralized applications, that may be doing something like a decentralized exchange, maybe doing something like gaming, Visa scale payment systems, and Internet of Things transactions. Those are things that require a lot of transactions, millions and billions of transactions to go through at one time. So Bitcoin, Ethereum can't handle that, obviously. So Harmony One tries to enable them to do that. Let's talk about the consensus mechanism a bit. So the consensus mechanism is kind of similar to the mechanisms of Elrond, Algorand. They all kind of draw from the same thing, which is Byzantine fault tolerance. Now, Harmony's consensus protocol is called fast Byzantine fault tolerance. You don't really need to know the details of it, but basically, validators in Harmony's consensus protocol is elected via the proof of stake mechanism. So with that, we know that validators with the bigger stakes have more power, have more voting power, and are leveraged more in the protocol. So let's talk about sharding, and let's talk about how Zilliqia does sharding. Now, in its shards, all transactions go to different shards for separate processing. It's kind of like how chickens from different farms go to different slaughterhouses. The resulting blocks or processed transactions are collected and merged at a higher level. So with Zilliqia, the downfall is that it is not state sharding, because each node has to hold the entire blockchain state to process transactions. In contrast, we have state sharding, which means that each shard will just hold a portion of the blockchain, which is what Harmony One does, and that is way more efficient. So what Harmony does is it basically learned off of the other chains, their pros and their cons, and went off of that. And it also has a beacon chain and multiple shard chains, which we'll talk about later. Alright guys, we gotta talk about passive income, because with the economy going as it is, if you have one source of income, your job, if you lose that job, lose that one source of income, you're gonna be in trouble, and the government is not gonna help you. We already know this. So what I did to protect myself is a Walmart automation store. And I did a video on Gemini credit card and Walmart automation over there. So check that out, because with Walmart automation, I'm earning credit card points as well as earning profits in my sleep. I don't have to do anything. It does it for me. So if you want to learn more, then check out that video, DM me, email me, join my Discord server to message me, direct message me, so I can answer any questions that you have, and let's get you set up before things go down with America. Now let's talk about staking-based sharding. Now Harmony stakers have to stake a certain amount of tokens to be eligible. The number of tokens staked determines the number of voting shares assigned to each validator. Each voting share equates to 1 vote in the consensus algorithm. So when you stake, your tokens are basically assigned to a shard. And if you have multiple tokens, then they may be assigned to multiple shards. They won't assign one person to one shard ever, because if that person is malicious, they can cause harm to the shard and the entire network. So they assign each token to multiple shards to decrease the chance of that happening, which makes sense. Also, validators with huge stakes are not incentivized to harm the network, because that will just be doing them self-harm. They'll self-inflicting harm because they'll get their stake slashed. Also, these big stakers will likely have more powerful machines to contribute to the network. In Harmony's protocol, malicious attackers can never have more than 1/3 of the voting shares in a single shard. And because of that, this network that Harmony 1 has is secure. And when it comes to blockchain history, unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, Harmony's new validators don't need to download the entire blockchain history, which would take days if the history is huge. They can just start from the latest valid block in the blockchain. So if that made no sense to you, let me put it this way. Have you ever heard of the term, don't put your eggs in one basket? That is exactly what Harmony 1 is doing with your tokens. They're putting your tokens, your multiple tokens, into multiple baskets, multiple shards. And that way, they decrease the risk for themselves, because if they put all your tokens into one shard and you're a bad guy, they're gonna be in trouble. They're gonna increase the risk for themselves. So to decrease that risk, they just put your tokens, spread them through multiple baskets. Now I'm gonna quickly define shard chains and the beacon chains. Now a shard chain is basically a blockchain that processes and validates its own transactions. It's relatively independent, but it can communicate with other shard chains. And beacon chains are basically the same thing. They are shard chains in a sense, but it's a special chain. Being a shard chain is not all it can do. It can also generate random numbers and accept stakes. So it is the chain where stakers deposit their tokens in order to become stakers or validators. It's like the teacher of the shard chains. It keeps the shards consistent. Like a teacher, it'll ask the student a question, the student being the shard. And when the shard answers, the teacher will communicate that to the rest of the students or the other shards. Alright, let's quickly talk about stake slashing. Stake slashing in Harmony 1 is very harsh. So this is the ways that it can happen. If the leader failed to finish the consensus process and triggered a leader change. If validators were found guilty of signing a dishonest block, 2 signed blocks conflicts with one another. And if a bad staker is ratted out, they are slashed. And that slash is given to the rat who ratted them out. Alright guys, my opinion of this project is that this project is legit. The tokenomics are for another story. I don't quite like it, but it's the same kind of tokenomics that Matic has, and we all saw the Matic rise. The founder is a PhD from the University of Pennsylvania, specializing in crypto protocols and type theory. He was also a research intern at Microsoft and a senior engineer at Google. He was a founder at SpotSetter, which was a search engine that was bought out by Apple, so he worked as a principal engineer at Apple for a bit. Harmony 1 has 12 employees, with 7 of them being ex-Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Apple employees. And like I said earlier, this project is basically a competitor for Zilliqia, Algorand, and Elrond. Now, the competitive advantage for Harmony 1 is the faster processing times, improved scalability with sharding, and using proof of stake. The one thing that is off-selling is I don't know why the supply is so big. It's sitting at 12.6 billion token supply. That's my only qualm about it. And it looks like, from what I read, 34.9% was given to the public. The rest is kept private. So if you guys went on CoinMarketCap for Harmony 1, it shows how the breakdown is for the token economics. There's 12.6 billion tokens, 22.4 were dedicated to the initial seed sale, another 12.5 were set aside for the additional launchpad sale. The Harmony founding team and developers received 16.9% of the total supply. 26.4 of one tokens were dedicated to protocol development, while another 21.8 were directed towards ecosystem development. So I just want you guys to know that with 16.9% divided by 12, because there's only 12 people working at Harmony 1, that pretty much gives us 1.4. If we took 12.6 billion times 1.4%. Each one of them get 176 million tokens if we divided them equally. So that's all I got for today, guys. I hope you got some value from it. You know, still in this smart contract, decentralized application scaling with sharding, that's all Wild West. There's still a lot going on, so we don't know what will happen, but it looks like for Harmony 1 at least, this project is legit. I like it. So don't take this as financial advice though, because this is just me reading the white paper because you're too lazy to read it. So make a decision on yourself, do your due diligence, do your research, and then decide whether Harmony 1 is for you. Otherwise, if you haven't already, please be sure to smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and check out these other videos in cryptocurrencies and passive income, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.